Hi, welcome to a voiceover, but also kind of a recap into the mini cut, because essentially I did say on the last vlog that this vlog was going to be the one in Miami. However, it's not. It could be, but essentially I am going to be catching up on client work on that Sunday and not potentially doing the YouTube. So I thought I'd just basically recap how I lost pretty much 14 pounds in 30 days, which is pretty drastic when you look at it. Now, if you haven't already watched the previous vlog, basically going into the aggressive kind of fat loss versus weight loss, I would highly recommend doing that. But basically, yes, I entered a 30-day cut in a severe deficit, retaining as much muscle mass as possible. And this is pretty much a kind of a wrap up on how I basically did that. Now, it's very, very obvious how I basically did that. I was in a calorie deficit. I was eating at that every single day. I didn't have varied days or anything. I would normally do like training day, non-training days kind of situation. I just did flat 1900 calories basically, and then recorded my weight pretty much daily, averaging at around about a kilo. I'm going to fluctuate between kilos and pounds, by the way, because I feel like I got American and UK following, so I'll fluctuate in between, so everyone gets an understanding of how the process kind of worked my end. But basically, I started the mini cut on, let's have a look at this quickly. I started at 88.8, and that was on the 14th of April, and the day is pretty much the 11th of May, and I'm weighing in at around 83, so a pretty substantial amount of weight to lose. I was averaging around like 2 kilos a week. There was slower points obviously, and there were obviously faster points where I was actually hitting almost 3 kilos of that per week. But yeah, I basically did no cardio. I basically did just 10k steps, and then just let the cardio, or let the the calories basically take care of the surplus. Training performance wasn't hindered, which is fantastic. Now, would I recommend this phase on that kind of aggressive cut for most? No. Would I recommend it for clients? No. Who would I recommend it for? No one, to be honest. Context dependent, it kind of fit my lifestyle. But yeah, I wouldn't cut that amount of weight that quickly. Those who have followed my prep know how easy it is for me to lose weight. But yeah, no Yihimbine or anything else like that, so no like assistance really, or any assistance at all. So yeah, it was basically just habits. This cut was essentially to put, it was a multi-purpose. One of them was to put myself in a better position to obviously mass. The other one was to increase appetite, because my appetite was pretty shot from my off season, and the other reason was going to be pretty much to look decent for Miami, to be honest. So yeah, that's pretty much the rationale. No refeeds, so to put it into context, no refeeds. So you wouldn't have accumulated a lot of kind of diet fatigue in that time. So no diet breaks, no refeeds, nothing like that. Just essentially deficit. It's very simple. It's kind of like, how did you lose that much weight? It's kind of like, I just did the same thing over and over again, and I was in a deficit, and that was it. Psychologically, it wasn't actually that bad at all, because essentially I knew that it was going to be a very short cut. Would I recommend that like in a prep? Probably not, because I'd have probably accumulated a lot of diet fatigue very quickly, and it would be very hard to get rid of it. The only way I'm going to get rid of like the potential diet fatigue at the back end of this is to go back into a matting phase, which I'm doing. And that's kind of the point in a mini cut. It's meant to be very aggressive and very hostile, but you get in and out of that as quickly as possible. So that's exactly what we're doing here. But typically, like with mini cuts, people lose between like, I'd say around 8 to around like 20 pounds, depending on the length. Is it normal to lose 14 in 4 weeks? No. But again, that's just is what it is with me. You get some personality types that are very key or very keen to lose weight, but very hard to pack on weight the other side. And obviously you have vice versa. So if you're looking at this going, fucking hell, it's easy for me to lose to gain weight but not lose it. How the hell is he losing 14 pounds so quickly? It's the role reverse, basically. It's kind of the pros and the con, the yin and the yang. I would much prefer to gain weight easily than to lose weight easily and then try and mass, because that's fucking disgusting. But yeah, basically this pull session was actually one of my last sessions of the mesocycle. Then obviously I'm going to Miami tomorrow, which is pretty lit. But yeah, training performance has been pretty much flying the whole time, which is the most important thing. Life stress is obviously very, very low, which is very good. Yeah, sleep's been not really affected. I don't really typically like going to sleep hungry, which I've had a couple times here, but basically all I've done is adjusted where I space my meals out. So essentially, if I know that I'm hungry at night, going to bed, I basically won't eat too much in the morning, and then will basically backload a lot of my calories for that back end of the day. That's something you could do if you find that you are very hungry. You just have to kind of in a dieting phase, you have to just realize or recognize where you're hungry, kind of listen to your body going, right, where am I realistically hungry? And don't worry about like all these like optimal meal timings and stuff. You have to do this like where like actually listen to your body rather than like just getting some crony to talk about like meal timing, because you can talk about meal timings all day long, but if you're basically gonna binge because you can't handle the hunger, then yeah, you would sacrifice that like optimality just to suit your preference, which is exactly what I tend to do. But yeah, finishing off with a bicep superset, which is basically working the lengthened. Well, we basically worked a shortened. We basically then worked just a standing, which is both shortened, technically shortened focus, and then we went to the lengthened range to finish off the biceps. Anyway, cool, mini cut done, bang, £14, wallop.